"He belongs to Robert," my sister announced, pointing at me while holding her baby boy. Robert, my husband of 38 years, who I had just buried 2 weeks earlier. She produced a will, demanding half of my home, my life, everything. But as she laid her trap, she didn't realize she was walking right into mine. Because I knew the one medical fact about my husband that made her entire plan an impossibility. My name is Olivia, and I'm 65 years old. 2 weeks ago, I buried my sweet husband, Robert, after 38 years of marriage. He passed suddenly from a heart attack at just 67. Last Saturday, I went to my nephew Derek's first birthday party at my sister Sophia's house. And that's when Sophia stood up and detonated a bomb in the middle of my life. She announced to everyone that her son, little Derek, was actually Robert's son. She was waving around some papers she claimed was his last will, demanding half of our $800,000 home as Derek's inheritance. I nearly choked on my cake, trying not to laugh out loud. It was the most absurd, ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. You see, there was something Sophia didn't know about Robert. Something that made her whole vicious story completely and utterly impossible. Now, before I tell you everything, I have to ask you something. If you believe that family is supposed to protect you, not try to destroy you when you're at your weakest, then prove it. Hit that subscribe button right now. If you'd just stand by and watch. Then I need you to go to the comments and tell me why you'd let your own family betray you like that. Robert and I met 40 years ago at our local church bake sale in Wichita. I was selling my famous apple pies when this handsome man walked right up to my table and bought 3 whole pies. He claimed they were for his mother, but he confessed later he just wanted an excuse to talk to me. "These smell like heaven," he said with the sweetest smile. "Just like the baker." That was Robert. Charming, kind, a true gentleman. Our first date was the very next night at a little spot downtown, Miller's Diner. We talked for hours until they kicked us out. He was a school principal dedicated to his students. 2 years later, he proposed to me right in the middle of the Christmas service at that same church. We got married the next spring, surrounded by everyone who had watched our love story unfold. We bought our first home on Maple Street for $200,000, which felt like a fortune back then. It was a cozy 2-story, with a big backyard and a giant oak tree, just perfect for a tire swing. We spent our weekends painting and planting, dreaming of the kids who would one day play in that yard. But those children never came. For 10 long, heartbreaking years, we tried everything. Doctor after doctor, treatment after treatment. I'll never forget our last visit. The doctor told us, gently, that it just wasn't going to be possible for us. That night, Robert held my hands and said, "Olivia, we have each other, and that's more than many people ever get. Our love is enough to fill this house." And he meant it. We poured our love into our nieces and nephews, and Robert treated every one of his students like they were his own kids. My younger sister, Sophia, was always the dramatic one. She's 62 now, 3 years younger than me, and has always lived her life like she was the star of some tragic soap opera. While I was building a life with Robert, Sophia bounced from one dead-end job to another, one bad boyfriend to the next. And she was always jealous. If I got a new dress, she needed a better one. When we bought our house, she complained about her tiny apartment until our parents helped her get a nicer one. It was exhausting, but Robert always told me, "She's your only sister. Family forgives." 5 years ago, she started dating a guy named George, a mechanic she met at some dive bar. Their relationship was a train wreck of huge fights and dramatic makeups. Then, at Easter dinner 3 years ago, she announced she was pregnant. This was a woman who always said kids would ruin her figure and her freedom. After all our years of heartbreak, Sophia had accidentally gotten the one thing Robert and I wanted more than anything. I pushed down the bitterness and decided to be the best aunt I could be. When little Derek was born, I was there at the hospital with a baby blanket I'd spent months crocheting. Sophia was overwhelmed from day one, calling me constantly in tears. I babysat all the time so she could get some rest. But Robert, he was distant with Derek. He was polite, but he kept his space. At the time, I just figured it was too painful for him, a reminder of our own empty dream. I never, ever questioned it. Then came that horrible Monday morning 3 weeks ago. Robert woke up with chest pains. He insisted it was just indigestion. "I'll be fine, honey," he said, kissing my forehead. Those were the last words he ever spoke to me. An hour later, he was gone. The funeral was a blur. Sophia was barely there. She showed up late, stayed in the back, and left early. I was too deep in my own grief to think anything of it. Then came Derek's party, just 2 weeks after I buried my husband. I didn't want to go, but I could hear Robert's voice in my head. Family comes first. The party was strange. People were whispering and staring. My own parents looked sick with worry. Sophia finally came out, holding Derek and looking like she'd just won the lottery. She tapped her glass for attention. "Thank you all for coming," she said, her voice ringing out across the yard. "I've been keeping a big secret, one that I can't hide anymore, especially after what happened to Robert." My blood ran cold. "Tommy isn't George's son," she announced, looking right at me. "He belongs to Robert." The gasps were audible. "Robert and I had a secret relationship," she continued, spewing the most vicious lies. "Tommy is the result of our love affair." Can you even imagine the audacity? My own sister, desecrating my husband's memory in front of everyone I know. If you've ever been betrayed like that, I mean truly stabbed in the back, subscribe right now. We have to stick together. For those of you who've never felt that kind of pain, I guess you just can't understand. Go ahead and tell me why in the comments. I'm really curious. She then pulled out that fake will. "Robert changed his will," she declared. "It states that half of the house he shared with Olivia should go to Derek as his biological father's heir." Everyone stared at me, and in that moment, instead of fainting or screaming, I almost smiled. It was so completely insane, it was almost funny. "May I see that, Sophia?" I asked, my voice as calm as a frozen lake. The signature was a joke. The legal language was all wrong. It was a pathetic forgery. I handed it back. "Thank you for showing me this," I said. "I think I need to head home now." The second I got in my car and out of sight, I just let out this crazy laugh that turned into sobs, because Sophia, in all her greedy, scheming brilliance, had no idea about the real secret Robert and I had kept for years. Here's the truth. 4 years ago, long before Derek was even a thought, Robert was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He had surgery. The surgery was a success. It saved his life, but it had a permanent side effect. It made it medically and scientifically impossible for him to ever father a child again. That surgery happened 3 years before Derek was conceived. It was a medical fact. We kept it private. We were tired of people's pity and nosy questions about why we didn't have kids. Only me, Robert, and his doctors knew, but Robert, my wise, wonderful Robert, he saw this coming. He told me back then, "Sophia's been acting strange, asking about our finances. I have a feeling she might try something crazy one day." He took me to his lawyer, Mr. Thompson, and we documented everything. He updated his real will, and we put copies of everything, the medical records, the real will, even a journal Robert kept of Sophia's bizarre questions, into a safety deposit box. He called it our insurance policy. At the bottom of the box was a letter he wrote to me. It said, "My dearest Olivia, if you're reading this, it means Sophia has tried to hurt you when I'm not there to protect you. Use everything in this box to defend yourself. I love you more than words can express." That's true love, isn't it? The kind that protects you even after they're gone. If you believe in that kind of undying love, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. If you think that's just a fairy tale, tell me why in the comments. I really need to know who is on my side here. The morning after that disaster of a party, I went to the bank, got the documents, and went straight to Mr. Thompson's office. "This is a very poor forgery," he said, looking at Sophia's fake will. We decided to hire a private investigator, a tough ex-cop named Patricia Kane. A week later, Patricia laid it all out. Sophia was drowning. She was over $90,000 in debt. She was facing eviction with 5 months of back rent due. The real father, George, had skipped town and wasn't paying a dime of child support. Even worse, he had a criminal record for assault. And then came the smoking gun. Patricia found text messages between Sophia and her friend Carol. One message from Sophia read, "Robert's death might be the answer to my prayers. That house is worth at least $800,000. If I can convince everyone Derek is his son, I'll get half. The fake will look perfect." She had planned it for weeks. While I was picking out a casket, she was plotting how to steal my home and destroy my husband's name. I had a choice. Mr. Thompson said we could press criminal charges, forgery, fraud. She could face serious jail time. Or we could handle it privately. What would you do? Would you send your own sister to prison? Before you even think about answering, hit that subscribe button because you have to see how this plays out. Not subscribing right now is basically telling me you'd let a snake like that get away with it. Don't be that person. I called Sophia and told her to come to my house, alone. She showed up looking smug, like she'd already won. I sat her down, and, on my lawyer's advice, I turned on a recorder, telling her it was for our mutual protection. I let her spin her whole rehearsed tale of a passionate affair at some cheap motel off Highway 9. Then I started asking questions. What room number, Sophia? What did Robert wear? What day of the week? She started to fall apart. Finally, she snapped. The important thing is that Derek is Robert's son, and the will proves it. Actually, I said, sliding the medical records across the table, both of those claims are completely false. I showed her everything. Robert's surgery records, the real, ironclad will, the text messages detailing her disgusting plan. She crumbled. She broke down into real, ugly sobs. I'm going to be homeless, she cried. I was desperate. So you decided to destroy Robert's reputation? I said, my voice like ice. Then I gave her my terms. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to tell everyone the complete truth. You will apologize publicly to me and to Robert's memory. In exchange, I will help you. Not for you, but for Derek. I'll pay your debts and help you find a place to live, but under strict conditions. You will get counseling, you will get a job, and you will learn how to manage your money. And I will be a constant presence in Derek's life to make sure he is cared for. She agreed to everything. That Saturday, we had a family dinner. In front of our horrified parents, Sophia confessed everything. I also had it out with my parents, telling them their years of enabling her behavior, of bailing her out, had led directly to this. For the first time, Sophia agreed with me. It was a painful, ugly, but necessary confrontation. It's been a year now since Robert died. So much has changed. I set up a trust fund for Derek to cover his medical needs. Sophia, to her credit, has stuck to every single condition. She's in therapy, she has a steady job, and she's finally learning to stand on her own 2 feet. Our relationship is civil. We're not close, and maybe we never will be again, but we coexist for Derek's sake. As for me, I'm healing. I started the Robert Henderson Memorial Scholarship for students going into education, keeping his beautiful legacy alive. I learned that family isn't just about blood, it's about the people who show up for you. And I learned that I am so much stronger than I ever thought possible. Robert's love protected me one last time, and that gave me the strength to protect myself. It's been a long, hard year, but we're getting through it. If my story has touched you, if you believe in finding strength in the middle of a nightmare, please subscribe. It costs you nothing, but it tells me that I'm not alone in this fight. And if you've watched this entire video and still haven't subscribed, honestly, I have to wonder why. Why would you hear my story, see my pain, and not want to be part of this family we're building here? Please explain yourself in the comments. I truly want to know.